Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Gossips 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The chapel was a cascade of white roses and sparkling crystal, every detail painstakingly arranged to celebrate what everyone assumed would be the perfect wedding. Hope and Liam finally, after years of heartbreak, betrayals, and nearly losing each other more times than they could count. Hope looked radiant, her gown flowing like a river of silk, every bead catching the soft light of the late afternoon sun. Liam, in his sharp tuxedo, couldn't take his eyes off her, a mixture of nervous excitement and deep, unwavering love written across his face. Friends and family filled the pews, smiles all around, laughter mingling with the occasional sniffle of happy tears. Carter was beaming, Ridge had a rare soft expression, and Brooke, though her own history with Liam complicated her emotions, had tears that reflected pure joy for her daughter. No one noticed the slight tremor in Steffi's hands, hidden behind her flawless nails. No one heard the uneven breathing that betrayed the storm inside her chest. She had rehearsed every word in her mind, crafted every moment of drama with a cold, meticulous precision, but now, seeing Hope's glowing smile, feeling Liam's hand brush hers, Steffi's heart hammered. Not with love, not with guilt, but with a consuming fiery sense of power. She had a secret, one that could unravel everything in the most catastrophic way possible. "Steffi, are you ready?" her mother, Taylor, whispered from the side aisle, the soft silk of her dress brushing against her arm. Steffi nodded, her lips curved into a serene smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Inside, the maelstrom raged. Years of heartbreak, manipulation, and stolen moments had led her here. Liam had loved her. Liam had abandoned her. And now, in one single shattering moment, she could claim a piece of him that Hope would never be able to touch, the child in her womb. As the ceremony began, Liam took Hope's hand in his eyes locking with hers, promising forever. The pastor's voice rang out, words rehearsed 1,000 times, and yet, the moment felt real, electric, sacred. And just as Hope began to speak her vows, a hush fell over the chapel. Steffi's voice rang out, calm yet cutting, a weapon forged from years of heartbreak. "Stop!" Heads turned. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Hope's eyes widened, her voice faltering mid-sentence. Liam froze, his jaw tightening, confusion etched deep in his features. "Steffi, what?" Steffi stepped forward, her gaze locked on Liam, burning with an intensity that sent chills down his spine. "I can't let this happen," she said softly, almost tenderly, before letting the bomb drop, heavy and final. "Liam, the child in my womb, it's yours." The silence that followed was deafening. Bridesmaids clutched at each other, mothers gasped, and the pastor's lips parted, uncertain whether to continue. Hope's hand fell from Liam's like a wilted flower, her face pale, lips trembling. What are you saying?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Steffi's eyes glistened, not with regret but with triumph. "I'm saying that you're marrying a man who has a child with me, Hope. A child that's growing inside me right now. I tried to hold this back, I really did, but I can't. This changes everything." Liam's expression morphed from shock to horror, his mind racing, heart breaking in a way that cut through every fiber of his being. He turned to Steffi, searching for some explanation, some glimmer of reason. "Steffi, you're lying. This can't." "I'm not," Steffi interrupted, her voice steady, almost chillingly composed. "It's real, Liam. And Hope? I'm so sorry. I really am. But this child, it belongs to you." Hope's knees buckled and she sank into the nearest chair, clutching her hands to her chest. No, this can't be happening. "Liam. Why didn't you tell me?" Liam's mind was a whirlwind, memories of tender nights with Steffi flashing through his mind, every stolen moment now colliding with the reality of the life inside her. He looked at Steffi, anger and disbelief battling in his eyes. You knew all this time?" Steffi's lips quirked into a bitter smile. "Of course I knew, Liam. I've known since the moment I saw those 2 lines on the test. And I had a choice. I could have told you, or I could have watched you take the one thing that belongs to me, and then I could step in." Brooke's hand flew to her mouth. "Steffi, you can't, this is a wedding," she cried. Taylor stepped forward, her voice strained as she tried to mediate. "Everyone, please. Let's not escalate this further." But escalation was inevitable. Liam's gaze darted between Hope and Steffi. His heart splintered into pieces. Hope. I didn't know Steffi a child, this is serious. His voice faltered, tears threatening. He looked at Hope, who shook her head, tears streaming freely now. You lied to me, both of you. Carter stepped closer to Hope, offering her a hand. Hope, it's okay, just breathe. We'll figure this out. But nothing felt okay. Not to Hope, not to Liam, and certainly not to the rest of the family who had gathered for what they thought would be a day of joy. Steffi's revelation had pulled a rug out from under everyone, leaving chaos and heartbreak in its wake. As whispers filled the room, Liam felt the weight of his choices pressing down like never before. He had loved Steffi, yes, but he had chosen Hope, at least he had thought he had. And now the child he never expected, the child that had been kept secret, had thrown everything into doubt. The vows, the promises, the life he had imagined with Hope, they all now hung by a thread, fragile and broken. Steffi, sensing victory, took a tentative step closer to Liam, placing her hand gently on her abdomen. This child is our future, Liam. You can't deny it. You can't undo it. Hope, tears cascading down her cheeks, stood and faced Steffi. I loved you, Steffi. I trusted you. How could you do this? To Liam, to me. Steffi's gaze softened for a split second, almost human, before stealing again. I didn't plan for this to happen during your wedding, Hope. But some things can't wait. This was always meant to happen. Liam felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. Every memory, every promise, every whispered word he had shared with Hope seemed tainted now. And yet, looking at Steffi, at the undeniable truth she held, he felt the weight of responsibility, of love, and of fear for the future. The pastor, clearing his throat, tried to regain control. Perhaps we should pause the ceremony. No, Liam said suddenly, his voice shaking but resolute. No. I need to think. I need to figure out everything. He turned to Hope, taking her trembling hands in his. Hope, I never wanted to hurt you. But this, I can't just ignore it. Hope's sobs echoed in the silent chapel. Then what do we do? Liam, please. I love you. Steffi watched them, her own heart beating with anticipation and fear. She had changed everything, but she knew the storm was far from over. Families would clash, loyalties would be tested, and love, real, messy, impossible love, would be the battlefield on which they all fought. And in that moment, with Liam caught between two women who had claimed pieces of his heart, the child inside Steffi's womb became the epicenter of a drama that would shake their world forever. The wedding, meant to be a celebration of love, had become a battlefield of secrets, lies, and explosive truths. And as the family gathered in stunned silence, each person grappling with the revelation, it was clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. The chapel's atmosphere was thick with tension, the once cheerful murmurs now replaced by whispered conjectures, incredulous gasps, and the palpable sense that a storm had just swept through their carefully constructed lives. Hope, still clutching Liam's hands, could barely form coherent thoughts. Her mind was a whirlwind of disbelief, heartbreak, and betrayal. Everything she had dreamed of in this perfect moment seemed to shatter before her eyes, replaced by Steffi's revelation that neither she nor Liam had been prepared for. Liam, tell me this isn't true, Hope pleaded, her voice trembling as if her heart might literally break from the weight of the truth. Tell me you don't have a child with Steffi. Liam's lips pressed into a thin line. He looked down at her hands, at the tears streaking her face, and felt an agonizing mix of guilt and helplessness. Hope, he couldn't finish. Words failed him. How could he explain months of hidden truths, stolen moments, and mistakes made in the past without completely crushing the woman he loved? Steffi, meanwhile, stood tall, almost regal in her composure. Her hand rested lightly on her growing belly, a subtle but undeniable signal of the undeniable reality she had just dropped into the center of everyone's lives. It's true, Hope, and I know it hurts. I know it feels like the world is ending, but this child is Liam's, and Liam, you need to face that. Hope's head whipped toward her, disbelief etched in every line of her face. Face it? How can I face it? How can anyone face it, when their whole life is being ripped apart in front of their eyes? This isn't just a surprise, Steffi. This is a bomb. Ridge, standing near the altar, clenched his fists, his jaw tight. He had anticipated drama. He had lived through decades of it, but even he was struggling to process the sheer audacity of Steffi's timing. "Steffi, this isn't how you handle things," Rich said, his voice low but firm. "There's a time and a place for difficult truths. But this is cruel. You're destroying hope in front of everyone." Steffi's eyes softened briefly, a glimmer of conflicted emotion flickering across her features before the hardened determination returned. "I didn't want to hurt anyone, Uncle Ridge, but I couldn't stay silent. Liam deserves to know about his child. Hope, you would have married him without knowing the truth. And I can't allow that." Bill, standing off to the side, shook his head in disbelief. His eyes darted between the women, then landed on Liam. "Son, you've got to stop this," Bill growled, his voice low but laced with barely concealed anger. "You can't just let this play out like some soap opera. Think about Hope. Think about the child. You've got responsibilities." Liam felt the pressure of his father's voice, the weight of everyone's expectations pressing down like a vice. He knew Bill was right, in part, but the emotional chaos inside him made any rational decision feel impossible. He looked at Steffi and his mind recalled tender moments that suddenly seemed like forbidden memories. Stolen kisses, whispered confessions, nights spent holding each other as if nothing in the world mattered. And now the consequence of those moments had arrived, alive and growing inside her. Hope's voice cut through the tension, raw and desperate. "Liam, how could you not tell me? How could you keep something like this from me? I trusted you. I believed in us. And now I don't even know who you are." Steffi stepped closer, gently placing her hand on Liam's chest, as though to anchor him to the truth he had tried to ignore. "Liam, we can't undo what's happened, but we can choose how to move forward. Our child is real. And Hope, I know this isn't easy, but maybe someday, you'll understand why I had to tell you now." Hope shook her head violently, tears streaming down her face. "Understand? There's nothing to understand, Steffi. You lied. You schemed. You took something from me that I'll never get back." Ridge stepped forward, his voice booming over the murmurs of the stunned guests. "Enough. Everyone calm down." He turned to Liam. "You need to think clearly, son. Not as a husband, not as a fiancé, but as a father. This changes everything. And you have to decide how to handle it." Liam's throat tightened, his mind racing. Every option felt like betrayal. Every decision carried consequences that could shatter the lives around him. He looked at Hope, whose face was pale and streaked with tears. "Hope, no, don't say it, Liam," she cried, throwing her hands up in frustration. "I can't hear another word from you. Not after this. Not when everything I believed in has been torn away." Steffi's voice, calm yet piercing, broke through again. "Liam, I'm not asking for an answer now. Just acknowledge the truth. That's all I'm asking." The chapel was silent for a moment, the kind of silence that feels like it could swallow you whole. Then a soft sob escaped from Brooke, who had been standing frozen near the back. She stepped forward, tears glistening on her cheeks. All of you, stop this madness. This is a wedding, not a battlefield. But, if this is the truth, then we have to find a way to handle it." Carter reached for Hope, trying to steady her. "Hope, breathe. We'll figure this out. One step at a time. But right now you have to stay calm. Just stay calm." Hope sank into a chair, her entire body shaking. Her dreams of marrying Liam, of a life filled with happiness and stability, now felt like fragile shards at her feet. She felt betrayed not just by Steffi and Liam, but by fate itself. How could life be so cruel, so capricious, so unrelenting in its cruelty? Liam took a deep breath, finally finding his voice. "Hope, I never wanted this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you. But I can't deny what's real. Steffi, the child is ours. And I have to do what's right for all of us." Hope's eyes widened in disbelief. "Do what's right? Liam, do you even hear yourself? Do you know what you're saying? You're standing here telling me that this changes everything. And you think that's okay?" "I don't know what's okay anymore," Liam admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to fix this, or even if it can be fixed. But I do know this. I love you, Hope. And I care about this child. I can't just ignore what's happening. I can't." Steffi's expression softened slightly, relief mingling with lingering fear. She had taken the first step, but the path ahead was fraught with heartbreak and uncertainty. That's all I'm asking, Liam. Just honesty. We'll figure out the rest together. Brooke stepped closer to Hope, taking her hand. Sweetheart, you have to be strong. I know it hurts and I know it feels impossible. But you're not alone. We'll get through this, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. Taylor's voice, calm yet firm, rose above the murmur of whispers. We all have to face this together. There's no going back, no pretending this didn't happen. We need to support Liam, support Hope, and support this child. That's the only way forward. Bill's jaw tightened as he crossed his arms. Support? You all think it's that simple? This is going to tear people apart. Mark my words. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And he was right. The air in the chapel seemed to crackle with tension. Conversations erupted in whispers and heated exchanges. Family members argued in hushed tones, glances darting from one shocked face to another. The idyllic scene of a perfect wedding had dissolved into chaos, and the fallout was only beginning. Liam felt paralyzed, torn between his love for Hope and his obligation to the child growing inside Steffi. He had never imagined himself in a situation like this. Every decision carried consequences and every choice felt like betrayal. Yet amidst the chaos, one thing was undeniable. Life had changed and there was no turning back. Steffi, though her heart raced with anxiety, held her head high. She had made her move, spoken her truth, and now she would wait for Liam to make his choice. It wouldn't be easy. Nothing about this would be easy. But for the first time in months, she felt a small spark of hope. Hope that the child she carried would claim its rightful place in the world, no matter how stormy the waters ahead. Hope sat in stunned silence, tears streaming down her face. The wedding she had dreamed of, the life she had imagined with Liam, had crumbled in a single revelation. And yet, even in the midst of despair, a flicker of determination ignited within her. She would fight for Liam. She would fight for her future. And she would not let Steffi's secret destroy everything she had worked for. The chapel, once filled with the promise of love, now stood as a battleground of emotions, secrets, and choices that would shape the lives of everyone present. And as Liam, Hope, and Steffi faced the monumental challenges ahead, one truth remained clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. As the murmurs of the shocked guests swirled around them like a storm, Hope finally stood, her hands trembling but her posture defiant. She walked slowly toward Liam, every step weighted with anguish and determination. Liam, I know this isn't your fault entirely, but it's ours too. This secret, this betrayal, it doesn't just affect us. It affects everyone around us. And yet, her voice broke for a moment then hardened. I won't let it destroy me. I won't let it destroy us. If you truly love me, you have to make a choice, one that doesn't come from fear or guilt or obligation. You have to choose what's right for us. Liam's eyes brimmed with tears. He wanted to speak, to explain, to untangle the mess that Steffi's revelation had created, but the words lodged in his throat. He felt torn between two impossible truths. The child growing inside Steffi, a living piece of his past and love, and the woman standing before him, the woman who had been his anchor, his hope, his future. Steffi watched silently, her chest tight with anxious anticipation. Every fiber of her being screamed that Liam would choose her, and the child, but a flicker of doubt gnawed at the edges of her resolve. She had revealed her secret, stolen the moment, and yet, the battle for Liam's heart was far from over. Brooke and Taylor exchanged glances, their faces etched with worry and disapproval. They had seen this pattern before, love tangled with secrets, heartbreak, and impossible decisions, and knew that no amount of reasoning could untangle what had been so recklessly set in motion. Liam finally spoke, his voice low and heavy with emotion. I need time. I need to understand what this all means for the child, for us, for Hope. I can't make a decision right now. Not like this. Not in front of everyone. Hope nodded slowly, tears still streaming down her face, but there was a spark of resolve in her eyes. Then take the time, Liam. But know this, I won't wait forever. And I won't let anyone manipulate me or this child out of our lives. You'll figure it out. But I'll be standing here, ready for the truth. The tension hung thick in the chapel, unresolved, as the guests shifted uneasily, knowing that the drama was far from over. and that the path forward would be fraught with heartbreak, secrets, and impossible choices.